Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the Manchester United Weekly Chart Show. It's back. Boom, pot pickers. It's back. We rank the top Manchester United players of the week from 10 to 1. You wanted it back. This is fan power getting it back, and we're going to fly straight into it. So it's going to be the top 10 Manchester United players of the week. You can get in the chat, you can get in the comment, you can give us your thoughts. But look, the first thing I want to say is, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Well, he's injured, so Scooby-Doo, Scott McTominay can't be in the top 10 this week. And there are some notable absences. But the brilliant thing about the top 10 show, and I'll say it myself, even though it's, obviously there's been top 10 shows for a while, is that you pick 11 players. So there's always going to be one player missing out. But there's also normally 2 games a week. And I am going to put in a little bit of the first few weeks of the season as well. But I know what my top 10 is. We're going to fly into it. And yeah, what I want to say first of all, though, very, very importantly, right? A lot of people say to me, do you know if any United players watch the United Stand? Yes, I do. Some of them have actually messaged me privately. I would never disclose who that was. I'm not one of them AFTV crowd who, such and such message. I wouldn't do that because I think it's unprofessional. I think there has to be, a level of trust there. Some of them do. Some of them don't. Now, what I would say is that when it comes to the United Stand, don't disrespect this community. 99% of it say what they think because they want Manchester United to be successful. Some of our players are very aware of what fans think, and they can take it on the chin that when they don't play well, they get the criticism. Unfortunately, there are some of them that I think are a little bit stubborn and think that they know best and ignore when fans are trying to be constructive. Not hate, constructive. You might have been at United for 2 years, you might have been at United for 8 years, you might have come through the youth setup, but the reality is, for the last 8 years, Manchester United have not been where they need to be. So when people are moaning about what's happening or moaning about your performance, maybe self-reflect on the fact that it's because you haven't been performing to the level you want to be. One thing I consistently see from our community is that if you perform well, you will get the praise. And that should be everything. That should be everything. So this arrogance about your own brand and what you are, you need to wind it in and start thinking about the people that put you on that pedestal and why they demand more, because they want this football club to be where it needs to be. It's not that deep. Nobody's waking up in the morning and thinking, I'm going to go in on that player because I don't like his haircut or I don't like, that he's left-footed or something like that. It's because they want you to be the best. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have a top 10, to be honest with you. I think within this football club, there are too many question marks about weak mentalities, about friends and mates rates. Maybe there needs to be a bit of competition. Maybe somebody needs to go into training and say, did you see the United Stand at the weekend? I was in 8th place. Oh, they don't know what they're on about. They're just haters. And then somebody goes, well, actually, I agree with them. They need that mentality. They should be competing with each other to be the best. Because if you're not competing with each other, how can you compete with Manchester City and Liverpool? We need this level. And I think one of the things about the United Stand that I love is that there is that thing that I said last night, whether you're Ollie in or you're Ollie out, ultimately the same goal. We dream the same dream. We want the same thing. We want Manchester United to be the best, and that is why you have things like this. Mark's changed it from the week to get De Gea in. I don't know what you're talking about, Robert McCormack. You're teetering on the edge of a block. I'm only joking. Right, let's get into the top 10 show. We've explained what it's all about. So in at number 10, and I just want to say straight away, notable absences that very nearly got... Well, I'll talk about those in a minute because it spoils it. So in at number 10 is Donny van der Beek. Now, this is the top 10. Considering this week we beat Newcastle 4-1 and then we lost very badly on Tuesday, Donny van der Beek in at number 10 is very interesting because people would say, well, he only played 45 minutes in a game that we lost. You'll understand my thinking in a moment, but I put Donny van der Beek in at number 10 because ultimately it was either going to be Donny van der Beek or it was going to be Jadon Sancho or it was going to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I went with Donny van der Beek because I believe that he actually played very, very well on in the first 45 minutes against Young Boys on Tuesday. I thought, not very well, but he played well. And I don't think he deserved to be taken off, and I've put him in at number 10. He actually was very comfortable on the ball. He did, he got about the pitch much better than Fred did in those 45 minutes. And I think he deserves a little bit better. And I don't think the midfield have actually been that good for a few games now. So I thought Donny van der Beek deserved to get in at number 10. Similarly, in at number 9, it's Nemanja Matic. Now, this will be forgotten because of the result against the Swiss side on Tuesday, but Nemanja Matic was a fundamental part as to why we played so well last weekend against Newcastle. I thought it was absolutely a fantastic performance from this is the problem when you go live, when you do it live. It was a fantastic performance from Nemanja Matic, as many people felt it was on the day, and I think because of the way that we played against Young Boys, it sort of got forgotten. But Nemanja Matic was a key factor in that game, and Fred didn't play in that game. I know he was on the bench, but he didn't come on, and this is where people are getting a little bit. This is where, for me, when people start talking about Fred, who's not in the top 10. Boo-hoo. He's not in the top 10. He didn't play against Newcastle. Didn't play 1 minute. He played against Wolves, he played against Southampton, and he played against Young Boys. And all three of those performances, I don't think it was good enough in the midfield. So Matic, for me, is in at number 9. I thought he played fantastically well against Newcastle and actually did what our midfield should be all about. He got hold of the ball, he passed it forward. Pogba had a much better game playing in the midfield in that game as well. And I think people have forgotten how we constructed that midfield against Newcastle. In at number 8, it's Harry Maguire. Again, it's difficult. It's difficult because I think that, Harry Maguire made a mistake against Newcastle, and obviously we conceded 2 goals against Young Boys, and he is the captain of the team. So people would say, well, he doesn't deserve to be in there. But I think, again, there are probably 5 or 6 players that are very strong with United this season, and there's probably 5 or 6 players that have been, sort of like that. And I'd put Harry in that. I think he had a very, very good end to the season. He had a very good Euros, and I still think he's adjusting from a short rest break and coming into another into another very important season. Has Maguire clicked yet? I mean, look, take it on board that he's got to get used to playing with Varane, who is a better centre-back than him. On paper he certainly is. And I think Maguire's just settling into the season. I don't feel that the mistake against Newcastle, although it led to the goal, you're going to get mistakes like that. And I don't really feel like he had a bad game against Young Boys. So I think that Maguire is a good position in 8, and I would expect him to go higher than that. Similarly, number 7 for me is Luke Shaw. Number 7 this week is Luke Shaw. Again, I think a little bit like Harry, he's not had the start to the season that, he had the end of the season where he was absolutely playing superbly. But having said that, I don't think Luke Shaw's performing badly, and I don't think Harry Maguire's performing badly. I just think they've got another gear to go to, but the gear they're in at the moment is still good. And Luke Shaw's never going to lose that energy to go back and forth and back and forth. But I think the 2 things I would say about Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw is, are they playing to their best? No. Have they got more gears to go to? Yes. And that is very encouraging because I think Luke Shaw is going to get better this season. I think Harry Maguire is going to get better this season. And I would throw Aaron Wan-Bissaka into that as well. I don't think they've had bad starts to the season. I just don't think they're totally at the level that we would want them to be at just yet. But still really, really important players. And again, look, David De Gea for me, he's in at number 6. Not quite in the top 5 because actually over the last week, for a change, if you think about the Wolves game and you think about the Southampton game, key player in those games because we played so badly we didn't really create anything and we had to rely on De Gea. Also, I think that against Newcastle, he did have to make some saves against Newcastle, nothing he could have done on the goal. But his ball distribution in the Newcastle game, especially that led to the Bruno goal, is why I would push De Gea above Luke Shaw and Maguire at the moment. And also taking into account that this is the first chart show, I'm also giving people a little bit of a boost based on what they've done in the first few games because we've only started the chart show this week. So obviously a bit of a boost for De Gea because of what he's done in the first few weeks. In fact, he probably deserves to be on higher than 6 based on that. But over the last week, he's not really had a lot to do. Couldn't really do anything on any of the goals. I don't think anybody could say that. But that distribution that was part of the Bruno goal was absolutely fantastic. And I think David De Gea, some people are saying David De Gea deserves to be in the top 5, says Jay Kingston. De Gea is 3rd for me, says Mustafa. But remember, this is based on this week, Mustafa. It's not on the season so far. We're doing it on this week. I'm probably giving them about 20% on what they've done in the season so far. 80% of their ranking is based on what they've done this week. And De Gea this week, to be fair, hasn't been as busy as he had been. So De Gea in at number 6 for me. Now, a bit controversial here, but remember we're going based on the week. I'm going to go Paul Pogba at number 5. And I know this is going to cause people some stress. Some people will agree, some people won't. But remember what I just said. 80% of this is on this week's performances, whereas 20% is based on the season so far. Now, if you're talking about the season so far, Paul Pogba for me is comfortably in the top 5. He's not 5th, which is still technically in the top 5. But if we're talking about this week, I felt that Paul Pogba against Young Boys, he's a very important player for us, and he was invisible in that game. In the first half, he was invisible because we didn't move the ball forward, which isn't even his fault. But look, that was the way it was. And when he played next to Fred, I didn't even notice him in the second half. So Paul Pogba against Young Boys was a very poor Paul Pogba performance, and most of it's not his fault. He's being put into a system that doesn't get the best out of him, I agree. Against Newcastle, I think he played well, and I think because of that, I would put him into 5th. His performance against Young Boys was not good, but I felt that his performance against Newcastle in the midfield, not on the left, which is encouraging, with Matic, I think Paul Pogba played very well against Newcastle, and that for me is why he's above Maguire and Shaw and De Gea. So Paul Pogba is 5th for me, but not based on the Young Boys result. This is based on the Newcastle one. What if the chart show was like the player ratings where the community votes, says Johan? We could look at that, Johan, but it's not what we're doing at the moment. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. So in at number 4 for this week is, and look, again, might be a little bit controversial. He is 19. His name is Mason Greenwood, and he's in at number 4 this week. Mason Greenwood this season, I think, has had a very understated season. Now, I don't think it's understated in the Manchester United fan world, but I think in the wider media, he probably doesn't get the mentions he deserves. I mean, look, he's not been called up for the England team. We've had his bloody FIFA rating card. I think this is a good thing for Mason Greenwood because he's obviously got that fire. You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun is for hire. Even if you're just dancing in the dark. He's having a very good season, Mason Greenwood. He's making things happen, and he's, as I say, it's an understated season because you've got Ronaldo, Bruno, Pogba, Sancho settling in. I think Greenwood is contributing every single game. And look, it's only 20% of the rating, but look at what he did against Wolves. He won us the game. And I thought he played very well against Leeds as well. And I think he had it was a hard game for him against Southampton, but I think he did well. Obviously didn't kick a ball against Young Boys, and I think we noticed that. I think we did notice that. But against Newcastle, again, it was a very, very good performance. So for me, Mason Greenwood may not be in everybody's top 5, but for me, I'm putting him at number 4. He's nowhere near top 3. Nowhere near top 3, but I would say that, Mason Greenwood is number 4 at the moment. And I think he's had a good season. And look, Jadon Sancho isn't in the top 10. I'll give you the spoiler on that now. I think it's very obvious that Jadon Sancho is not going to be in the top 10 if he's not in the top 10 at position 4, because there's no way anyone's going to put him up there. But can I just say, there's some notable players who've missed out. Sancho has missed out, right? Jadon Sancho has missed out. I like the way we do this because it's like a proper top 10. You used to get on top of the pops. You get to like number 4 and then you start talking about people who missed out. So Jadon Sancho missed out because he was taken off after no time against Young Boys. And I don't think I think he was taken off too early in the Newcastle game. Although I quite liked his performance against Newcastle, and I don't think we saw enough of him against Young Boys. The reality is, this season, he hasn't actually settled in properly, has he? I think he will do. I'm not worried about Sancho, and I know some people are, and obviously you're going to get the external prats who say, "Oh, Sancho's going to be a flop." Look, if you, it's a bit like haters, isn't it? As I say, whether you love me or you hate me, I'm still living rent-free in your head. And it's the same with Jadon Sancho. Whether you support Sancho like we do, or whether you want calling him a flop like rivals do, he's still living rent-free in their head. They're still waking up in the morning and thinking, I'm going to type that Sancho's a flop. Why are you thinking about Jadon Sancho? You don't even support United. So I enjoy the fact that Sancho is a topic of conversation for our rivals. But I think within our fan base, we're just like, look, we've got Ronaldo, we've got Varane, we've got Bruno, we've got Pogba, we've got Greenwood. Our problem is not our attacking talent. Our problem is getting the ball to the attack. And Sancho will benefit from that when we do that. So I'm not worried about Sancho, but he's not in the top 10 this week. And this is what I'm on about. You know what? There's probably a couple of United players who will see this today because it's the day off and they'll go, "Oh, fucking GOLDBRIDGE, United stand community not putting us in the top 10. No, no, no." Maybe you're not in the top 10 because it's been looked at pragmatically. We want United to be the best. And when you perform well, you will be in the top 10. I can tell you now, we used to do the chart show before COVID. Fred finished number 1 in the chart show 3 times in 10 weeks. Now, that sounds ridiculous now because people will go, oh, Fred's always getting the shit. Well, Fred's been shit. Like, Fred's been shit in the opinion of many fans. So he's not in the top 10. But he has been number 1 in the chart show 18 months ago. So, look, focus on yourself. Focus on things like this and think, I want to be number 1. Because if you're number 1, you will get the praise. And if you're number 1, United are going to do better. I think too many footballers live in a bubble these days where they're all in the same bubble. They're all turning up to training. They're all like, look at this Pratt, look at that Pratt. Oh, yeah, you're great, mate. You're great, and I'm great, and I'm great. And yeah, they don't know what they're on about. Well, actually, I tell you what, most of these players, we've supported United longer than them, or we're older than them. And it's not about, for them, oh, I want that brand deal, I want this, I want that. For us, it's we want to win the league. So whose opinion is more valid? The person who's being paid by the club, who might be looking for brand deals and whatever, or the fans who don't get paid by the club but want the club to be number 1? Players need, especially Manchester United players, not all of them. As I say, I speak to some of them and they're absolutely focused. But some of them, I sense there is this, arrogance that they think they know best. But you haven't got any win. You've got no trophies. But you can be arrogant if you're part of the 08 team. You can be arrogant if you're part of the 99 team. But look, when people are saying you're not playing well, maybe self-reflect. Instead of having a coach that goes, you are doing really well, maybe self-reflect, because it's a winning mentality that we need. How can Greenwood be above Pogba? Pogba was better against Newcastle and Greenwood didn't play in the week. Also, Pogba has been better in previous games, says Jason Werrell. Thanks, Jason. Maybe you want to put your top 10 in the comments below. That's the whole point of it. I've put Mason Greenwood ahead of Paul Pogba because I think that Mason Greenwood played very well against Newcastle and wasn't deducted points because of how badly he played against the young boys. So that's my justification. Greenwood's 4, Pogba's 5. But if you want to put him up there, that's absolutely fine by me. You can get those in the comments. Right, let's go to position 3, the exciting positions. Raphael Varane is in at number 3 for me. I feel that he's still very much a fresh player at Manchester United and has only actually started, he started against Young Boys, Newcastle and Wolves. He didn't start against Newcastle. Now, there's been a couple of errors by Varane. I would say that the first goal against Young Boys, could he have done a bit better? Yes. Obviously, against Wolves, that double save by De Gea was because Varane got beaten. But mistakes will happen. I've said this about Harry Maguire last week against Newcastle. That goal was on Harry Maguire, but he misses the tackle on the halfway line and Newcastle's transition from there was perfect. I don't mind players making mistakes. What I do mind is players who make mistakes regularly and also, like for me, Victor Lindelof just isn't good enough if you want to win the Champions League or the Premier League. So when he makes a mistake, it will be a mistake that he's made time and time and time again. Varane's going to adjust, but he is going to make mistakes. Harry Maguire's a top-class centre-back, but he's going to make mistakes. Luke Shaw's going to make mistakes. You can make mistakes, but it's what you do on a consistent level. And what I've seen with Raphael Varane already is, and I pointed this out against Newcastle, mainly for his Newcastle performance. Young Boys, he only came on at half-time, didn't he? He should have bloody played from the start. But the reality is, I think with Varane, it's his whole demeanour when he plays. Defensively, that high line is there. We've seen it against Newcastle. We saw it against Wolves. He wants to play first-time football. He knows what he's on about. He was speaking this morning about 10 years with Ramos. 10 years with Ramos at Real Madrid. He's an elite defender and I think he's going to make a massive difference for us. And already I've seen that quality that puts him into our top 3. Number 2 is Bruno. Bruno is in at number 2. You know what? I'll argue with anybody who doesn't want to put Bruno in the top 2 because Young Boys was crap. It was absolutely crap. We know it was. And I'm not saying Bruno's overall game was, but at some point you've got to say, and look, Bruno against Newcastle was fantastic. He scored a great goal. I think Bruno this season, when we've got him the ball, has been very, very good. I don't think he was great against Young Boys, but against Newcastle I thought he was fantastic. I feel the saddest thing about that Young Boys game is that for me, if De Bruyne had done that pass, because everybody lives up De Bruyne's arse. De Bruyne won Player of the Year last year. I don't even know. He was voted Player of the Year. I don't even know how they did it. He shouldn't have been Player of the Year last year. But De Bruyne's got that thing where if he does something, it's De Bruyne. It's De Bruyne. That pass by Bruno Fernandes against Young Boys will be forgotten in a week. It really should be framed. You know these NFT things that people buy, these bloody digital bits of art? That pass from Bruno should be an NFT. and it should be sold for millions. It is. If you could buy that pass, it's world class, and it will get. It's such a shame it will get lost, because it's such a good pass. It takes out. Technically, it takes out 3 players. You could argue it takes out 5. It's such a good pass from Bruno Fernandes. It's elite, and off the outside of his foot. I think Paul Pogba could do it. They're the only 2 players that could do it in our squad. It's just unbelievable. And we know Paul Pogba's passing is world class as well. So that pass from Bruno Fernandes, for me, in a game where he didn't play well, unbelievable. Best assist of the season, says Tox. It was elite. It was an assist from Bruno Fernandes, and I thought he played very, very well against Newcastle. Again, I'd put Bruno into the category of a Luke Shaw and a Harry Maguire. Are they playing terribly? No. Have they got more gears? Yes. And Bruno Fernandes, for me, looks fully refreshed this season, so I think he's going to be a very, very big player for us. And of course, Viva Ronaldo! Viva Ronaldo! Running down the wing, hey United sing! Viva Ronaldo! In at number 1. I mean, look, get your hoodie in the link in the video description. I know a lot of you have ordered it now. Free shipping worldwide, but we might have paid a lot of money for him. See! I'm going to try and do it. I've got to do it. No. And now I'm going to try it with a deep C. I can't do it. I can't do it. Anwar says Fred's been robbed. Look, Cristiano Ronaldo is number 1. There can be no other number 1 this week. He's a brand new entry and he's straight in at number 1. The interesting thing for me is, how many weeks can Cristiano Ronaldo be number 1 in the chart show? How many weeks over the whole season will he have been number 1 in the chart show? This is the level, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, any United player that's bumping their gums about not being in the top 10 or thinks that people are going after them or anything like that, you know what? This is the mentality you've got to have. Look, I'm not a professional footballer. Most of the chat aren't professional footballers. You're in that position because throughout your career, you've worked ridiculously hard. Any player that's got a United squad number is somebody that we're not. They've worked ridiculously hard. They've got a talent. They are competitive. You don't just find your way in the United squad in your 20s. You've got to have worked hard at numerous levels throughout your career, from a kid to where you are now. You have got something to be in a Manchester United squad. But that is the standard. And that standard has not been in this club for 8 years. And the challenge is, for you this season, and I know it's only a chart show on a fan channel, but you know, if you don't like that concept, put it in a different way. He is the standard. Can you get man of the matches over him? Can you be number 1 in a chart show over him? Can you get to that level? Stop thinking about, oh, it's unfair, this, that and the other, and start thinking why people are saying you're not performing. Because we're not saying it about Cristiano Ronaldo. He's had 4 shots on target in 2 games and he scored 3 goals. And basically that's his only service. 4 shots in 3 games and 3 goals. 4 shots in 2 games and 3 goals. His aura, his ability, the way he looks after himself and what he's bringing to this club is elite. And he deserves 100%. It's not hype. He deserves 100% over the 2 games to be at number 1. 100%. He got 0 service against Young Boys and still got a goal because of the Bruno assist, but got it. We've got to get more service for him, but players need to realise that is the level that we're looking at Manchester United. That is when we're doing a chart show. Bruno's not even close. Pogba's not close. Varane's not close. He's on a different level, and the rest of our squad needs to step up to that level. Ronaldo knows it. Ollie needs to demand it, and the playing squad needs to demand it themselves. He is the level, and that is the level you're being marked against now. And I thank everybody in the chat who actually wanted the chart show back, because whilst it's a bit of fun and everyone can get in the chat and do theirs, and I love it, it also exposes the issue at United over the last 8 years. And a lot of these players haven't been here for 8 years, but it's current now that the mentality needs to be. Ronaldo coming into this club exposes everything, that we've not been good enough, that we haven't got a winning mentality, but he comes in and he is that level. He is that level. Can anybody get near him on future chart shows? Can anybody get near him on player ratings? And if you can, bloody hell, we're making improvement. And that's the challenge to this squad. It's a tight-knit squad at Manchester United, and I think that's something to applaud. But is it a winning squad? No, it's not. Now, they might not like that. They might not like it when fans say they haven't got a winning mentality. Well, what do they know? What do they know? Well, we know because we're looking at the trophy cabinet. You've not won a cup in 3 years. The last cup we won was under Jose Mourinho, who apparently the players forced out of the club because they didn't like it. Well, we need to win trophies, lads. And you know what you need to do? You are professional footballers. You need to start focusing on the fact that fans who might be moaning about your performances are doing it because they want to win trophies. And surely you want to win trophies. So stop thinking that people are moaning about you or they're picking on you or anything like that. And start winning hearts and minds back with your performances on the pitch. That's what that shirt's all about. It's not about what you do off the pitch. You might do great things off the pitch. It's about what you do on the pitch. Grab the opportunity, win the hearts and minds of the fans, and let's go out there and achieve something special this season. Stop having a victim mentality if you're one of those players that have got it, and start have a winning mentality. And I tell you, it does exist, because as I said, I'm not going to expose those players. I'm not going to do it. Some of them message me, some of them don't. And I think that that's the reality, is that Ronaldo is bringing in this level. And he is your number one this week, and he totally and utterly deserves to be your number one this week. Mark, mate, you need to give each other players in the chart their own individual song again, like you used to. Agree with your top 10, says Luke 82. Well, I got told to stop the singing. If you want the singing back on the chart show, I can bring the singing back on the chart show. But that's not it. People saying facts by Mark. Look, I personally have got no issue with any United player at the moment. Not in relation to personality. You know, I ain't blocking people on Twitter or anything like that. They're Manchester United players, stuff like that. I'm not bothered about that. I don't care about that. Every United player, Matic is the prime example. I was like, Matic is finished. He's a bag of cement, and he came back. He did come back, and you know, and he got the praise. The funny thing is about this community, Ryan, I'm talking about you. Every single player has been man of the match from you. McTominay's been man of the match. Fred's been man of the match. Matic has been man of the match. Wan-Bissaka's been man of the match. Maguire's been man of the match. Lindelof's been man of the match. Lingard's been man of the match. Rashford's been man of the match. Pogba's been man of the match. Any player that sometimes gets a bit of criticism has actually been voted man of the match by you at some point. There's a lesson in there, isn't there? This community and the United fan base basically just wants to win. When they say somebody's a 2 out of 10, it's because they think they've been crap. And when they get man of the match, it's because they think they've done what's good enough in a United shirt. Let's cut through the bullshit, Ollie. The fans want what's best for the club. If they're criticising style of play or individual players, it's because they don't think they're doing good enough. But if they are, they'll be voted man of the match. I think we've got one of the best fan base. Well, I think we have got the best fan base in the world. I think we argue amongst each other, but I think we all want the same thing. And I wasn't sure about bringing the chart show back. But if you are Aaron Wan-Bissaka, if you are Jesse Lingard, if you are Fred, if you are Sancho, next week we're doing it again. You're playing tomorrow. You're playing midweek. Get yourselves in the top 10. That's what it's all about. Get yourself in the top 10. Because I tell you what, if I was a United player, I'm not saying they watch the show. Some of them probably do. But if I was a United player watching this or I heard about this, I'd be like, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, that's biased. I'd be thinking, well, I'm getting in there next week. I'm getting in there next week. And I'm not going to be one of the players missing out. And we want that. We want that. If I'm Fred, I'm like, I'm getting in that next week. I'm getting in that top 10. You know, if I'm McTominay, I'm coming back and I'm getting in that top 10. And if I'm De Gea or I'm, you know, if I'm Pogba or I'm Maguire, I'm like, I'm going up. I'm not being in 8th. I'm going up. You don't want to be the player missing out. And that's what we need, that winning mentality. And that's why the guy at number 1 is really important. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Absolutely love having this back. Was a bit unsure, but I actually like it because you know what? It's now or never. Nowhere to hide, no excuses. And what this does every week is show that the levels of those players who are performing and those that need to improve. And I think that's really important. I think Ollie should have a chart show. Kaliki, get the top 10 cards out. I think he should have one. All right, do it with a little bit of banter like we do, but I think there should be one. Because I tell you what, I used to do it in a job where, you know, they used to tell you the top 10 performers of the month. And if you weren't in it, you did feel a bit pissed off and it motivated you. And I think that we need that. Too many players, like, you know, in their security bubble of, oh, here's a good point for you. If you're a Manchester United player, right? You know, I'm not going to name any players because I'm not actually thinking of any United players, but imagine you've been at United for 10 years, or imagine you've been at United from the youth, yeah? And you know, like, people will say, oh, they're United through and through, they've been here for years. Doesn't have to be a youth player, it can be a player that's been here for years. They're United through and through, right? If you're United through and through, and you've been here for years, well, we've been shit for years. So you've been part of that mentality under Mourinho, under Van Gaal, whatever. That failure has infected your mind. Is it that important that you've been at United through and through for years? You know, when Ollie says, oh, they're a United lad, they've been here for years and years, but we've not been United for years and years. It's coming up for 10 years since we've been the United. A player could come into this club like a Ronaldo or a Bruno who's only been here a couple of years or a couple of weeks, but their mentality could be way better than a lad that's been here United. You know, like, this is what I mean. I think sometimes we focus, oh, they've been here for years, they know what the club's all about, they've been here from the youth setup, but we've not been winning for years. You know, and what I'm saying is to Ollie and the players, stop thinking about the bubble that you live in. Oh, you know what United's about, you've been here for years and years. We're not winning. I would rather bring in a player like Ronaldo that's been a winner for years and years, and he'd not been here for 10 years, because his mentality is going to be far better than those players. It's almost like we need a bit of a reset. Yeah, you might have been here for years, you might have been here for 3 years, 2 years, whatever. We need to get a winning reset. And once we've got it, we grab hold of it and we keep it. Anyway, this afternoon I'm live on That's Football from 2:30. There's loads of 3 o'clock kickoffs, so we're going to be covering that on a watch along. That's Football. Make sure you tune in for that. And if you want to get your hoodies, free shipping worldwide, links in the video description. Give it a click. Loved having the chart show back. Hope you've enjoyed it as well. I'll speak to you a little bit later.